Welcome. My name is Josh, and you just stepped inside my mind. Inception is a film about a man who extracts information from other people's minds through their dreams. But that's such a simple way of explaining this film. Inception, in my opinion, is one of the most brilliant films ever created. And sadly, I feel as though a lot of people misinterpret the point of the story in the movie. Inception isn't a film that should be looked at lightly. It's a movie that did everything right when it comes to direction, soundtrack, emotional connection with the characters, especially the writing, which is a very impressive feat for a film to have. Many people have written multiple essays about this film. So is there really more to talk about when it comes to this movie? I personally think so. I love this movie. It's my favorite film of all time. But Inception is one of the most original films I have ever seen. And I want to tell you guys on why it's my favorite film I have ever seen. Inception has many layers to it, and not in a dream within a dream sense, but from a writing standpoint. Nolan has made a masterpiece, and it wasn't his first. Now, I could talk about every aspect of the film, and that would make the video longer than 20 minutes, so I'm not going to do that. Instead, I will talk about the 3 layers that you may have missed about Inception, and why it just isn't a good action summer blockbuster mind-bender, but it's so much more than that. The first layer is the filmmaker allegory. Inception, the establishment or starting point of an activity. Therefore, in the film's case, Inception is planting an idea in someone's head, making the patient believe it's their own. The film depicts all the characters in an established allegory that mirrors a filmmaking crew. Cobb represents the director, Arthur represents the DP, or the director's right-hand man. Ellen Page's character, Ariadne, represents the production designer / writer, and we have Tom Hardy as the actor. Every character represents part of a film crew, and they're trying to pull off what all filmmakers are trying to do. They want to present ideas and hope that the audience chooses to take their idea and make it their own. Fisher represents us, the audience, and that's so interesting when you think about it. Nolan wanted to make a film about films, telling a story about creators and their minds. Filmmaking, you usually have to go deep into the psyche of a person to make an impact. And that is why the dreams within dreams is part of the narrative. Directors plant seeds in our heads all the time. Now we have a choice to listen and not to, but sometimes when a film has other distractions, it could be planting a seed that you may not realize just got planted. Michael Bay plants us with advertisements. Denis Villeneuve's Sicario plants us with moral questions, one specifically being, will you compromise your views or not? It's that hard-hitting question, what is right and what is wrong? If you are in an environment that opposes your views and challenges them, will you break? Nolan is telling us what he's doing to our minds as we are taking in the mind of Nolan. He's performing Inception on all of us. Artists have been doing it for years, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I mean, even in a regular conversation, a lot of us may be planting ideas in each other's heads without us being aware that we are doing so. But film is not only an art, it's also a tool to tell a story. Nolan is telling a story about the relationship between the filmmaker or extractor and the relationship between the audience. The second layer is media has power. Media can impact in a way that can poison our minds, but it also could be used for good and have nutritional value to our minds. Now then again, who constitutes what a good message is? Because everyone has different perceptions and ideals. But that's another thing. You may have a good message, but someone can see it in a totally different way. For me, I like to see the film exactly how the director intended it. And Nolan, though makes his film ambiguous, it does have a clear message. It just is planted deep inside the film. Final layer in the film is more of the surface layer, at least to the untrained brain, because it's also yet a deep and emotional story, and that layer is where there is this exoteric message. Cobb's character struggles in the entire film with dream versus reality.
No, she is not real.
How do you know that?
She's just a projection. Fisher is real.
This pain of his past and guilt that drives him to have suicidal thoughts engulfs Cobb's subconscious. It brings Cobb to this spot where he thinks maybe it's just a bad dream. Cobb's perception in the film is very destroyed when it comes to reality.
They come here every day to sleep.
No. They come to be woken up. The dream has become the reality. Who are you to say otherwise?
Let's see what you can do.
He can't differentiate reality and what his mind says, but the film takes its time in telling us very few things about Cobb. Cobb struggles with forgiving himself. He's responsible for losing Maul. Cobb is stuck in the past, and that breaks him. Nolan uses mazes as symbolism for the mind, and Cobb can't navigate his mind. So he creates a prison of memories so that he can cope with his emotional and psychological state. The film brings in a character named Ariadne, and the interesting thing about Ariadne is her role in Cobb's life, or in the story's narrative. She helps Cobb through many aspects of their mission. She's the navigator, a mentee, but then the mentor. The role flips and she starts mentoring Cobb through his pain and helping him navigate his psyche. Something I should add, in Greek mythology, Ariadne was the name of the daughter of Minos, who guided Theseus through the maze. Cobb's story is a story we can all relate in some way or another. And this is good character and story writing. You see, Inception is entertaining, but it keeps its balance by going deeper. These may sound like puns, they aren't. Going deep is something that the director does because we as humans have multiple layers, emotionally and psychologically. The movie is telling us that a person's mind is one of the hardest things to navigate. Even when it comes to our own minds, we can struggle to do so. Nolan's message at the end is amazing. Now, many thought the top that spins means so much, but really it's more of a red herring, and it's actually more of a distraction. It doesn't matter if the top falls or not. What matters is Cobb is home. He's with his kids, and he chose to see their faces again. This movie is about a man letting go of his shame, forgiving himself of his past. He's letting go of the guilt he's been holding on to for years, and he's finally decided where he wants to stay, and he's going to be present in that. I think Nolan himself answers the question to a degree. He says, the way the end of the film worked. Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Cobb, he was off with his kids. He was in his own subjective reality. He didn't really care anymore. And that makes a statement. Perhaps all levels of reality are valid. The camera moves over the spinning top just before it appears to be wobbling, and it was cut to black. I skip out of the back of the theater before people catch me, and there's a very, very strong reaction from the audience, usually a bit of a groan. The point is, objectively, it matters to the audience in an absolute terms, even though when I'm watching, it's fiction, a sort of virtual reality. But the question of whether that's a dream or whether it's real is the question I've been asked most about out of any of the films I've made. It matters to people because that's the point about reality. Reality matters. Now, even though that doesn't state much, it can seem like we still won't know for sure. But honestly, if you look at every variable of the film, it is a happy ending. But like the mind, it can play tricks on all of us. Inception is a film about film. It's a film about forgiveness. And it's a film about how we as an audience react psychologically to something that mimics our reality. And so we struggle to differentiate the two. So if Inception is about planting ideas, and Nolan is telling us that is what artists and storytellers do, I gotta ask you, who is performing Inception on us right now?